There's a silent toxin actively rotting your mind right at this very second. And trust me, it's doing way more damage than any junk food you could ever eat. It's completely invisible, it's constantly feeding, and the crazy part? You probably invited it in voluntarily.
See, while a terrible diet ruins your physical health over decades, this invisible toxin, it's hijacking your cognitive abilities in real time. It's literally stripping away your focus, your drive, and your peace of mind. So to find out if it's already taken hold, we need to run a quick, kind of unsettling diagnostic.
Let's just hold up a mirror for a second. Are you already infected? Let's see exactly how deep this sickness has spread into the quiet corners of your daily routine. I'm going to walk you through 4 specific symptoms, and I need you to be brutally honest with yourself here. Okay, number 1. Do you ever find yourself watching utterly pointless videos all the way to the very end? Number 2, do you check a single notification and suddenly realize, wow, 30 minutes just vanished? How about feeling a sudden wave of panic when your phone isn't in your pocket? Or maybe you just suffer from this constant, heavy brain fog. If you ticked yes to more than 2 of these, well, you don't need another life hack, you need a drastic mental purge, because your biology is actively failing you right now.
And here's the terrifying proof of that failure. 8 seconds. According to recent research, thanks to this endless, overflowing flood of cheap dopamine and short-form content, the average human attention span has collapsed to a terrifying new low. We're talking about brains becoming hardwired to a rapid-fire cycle of cheap thrills.
And the science behind this rot is actually fascinating. Research out of Stanford University clearly outlines that this constant overstimulation isn't just making us a little distracted, it's actively damaging your prefrontal cortex. That's the literal part of your brain responsible for discipline, memory, and making critical decisions. So the very tool you need to succeed is being dismantled day by day. Which raises one incredibly urgent question. How do we actually fight back?
Well, the answer definitely isn't to just try harder. The answer is a ruthless 5-step extraction method. We're going to walk through what's called the DETOX framework. It's a method designed to completely flush this mental poison right out of your system. And it kicks off with a biological technique that's used by both sick animals in the wild and billionaire tech founders. Here is the blueprint. Digital fasting, eliminate junk, train focus, organize inner world, and execute. This is the structural framework to reclaim your hijacked brain. So let's break down that very first step.
Digital fasting. Think about what actually happens out in nature. Just like a poisoned animal instinctively refuses food to survive, starving its body so it can flush out the toxicity, you absolutely must starve your brain of digital input. Your pleasure systems have been totally hijacked, and the only way to reset them is through a strict period of absolute digital starvation. You know, Steve Jobs deeply understood this secret. When he was completely overwhelmed with information, he didn't start scrolling for inspiration. He took long, entirely phoneless walks. He knew how to completely reset his pleasure circuits through deliberate disconnection. And this is a habit you really need to replicate. To kick off this detox, you've got to carve out at least 1 hour every single day where no screens, no notifications, and absolutely no digital noise can reach you. But here's the catch. Silencing all that outside noise is completely useless if your inner world is already filled to the brim with mental junk. Stanford research actually highlights a super dangerous blind spot here. Your brain cannot tell the difference between actively thinking a negative thought and passively consuming a negative piece of content. You quite literally become what you consume. Look, the algorithms do not care about your mental well-being. They only care about engagement, period. If you're constantly feeding on toxic, negative, or outrage-inducing content, it's going to inevitably poison your thoughts. And those poisoned thoughts, they become negative feelings, which then dictate your real-world actions. It's just a massive, vicious downward spiral. So you must forcefully reclaim your mind. You have to train your algorithm, or I promise you it's going to train you. Start hitting that not interested button. Unfollow those toxic accounts. Go ahead and delete the apps that are just draining your life force and giving you nothing but cheap dopamine in return. You have to cut the cord on the mental junk.
Moving to step 3. Train deep focus to rebuild the mind's muscle. Once you stop the bleeding and cut out the junk, you have to actively train your brain to hit a state of peak human performance. That flow state of deep work where distractions just fade away and time completely vanishes. Take the legendary inventor Nikola Tesla, for example.
He possessed intense, intense, highly trained concentration that he could build, test, and completely refine complex inventions entirely inside his mind before he ever even touched a physical tool. He built a flawless mental blueprint just through sheer, unbroken focus.
And you know what? You can steal a fraction of his incredible power right now. You don't need to be a genius. You literally just need a timer. Lock yourself into a ruthless, distraction-free 25-minute Pomodoro block. No phone calls, no replies, zero browsing. Just you and one single task. Doing this consistently is going to slowly but steadily rebuild that shattered focus muscle of yours.
Yet, even with a perfectly detoxed feed and laser focus, your mind is going to remain hopelessly clouded if your physical environment is drowning in chaos. Simply put, outer clutter creates inner static.
There's this really brilliant story from a Zen monastery in Japan that illustrates this perfectly. There was a young, seemingly untalented monk who swept the temple stairs before sunrise every single day. But he wasn't just cleaning the stone. He was actively sweeping away his own mental anxiety and confusion. He did it quietly, consistently, without ever seeking praise. And because he cultivated such immense inner clarity just by organizing his outer world, he was actually eventually chosen as the headmaster. The main takeaway here? Clear your space to clear your mind.
Which brings us to the final explosive step: execute with energy. But listen to me closely on this one. All of this organization, all of this digital fasting and newfound clarity is completely, utterly worthless if you fail to take this final action. You have to move from planning to actually doing. To do this effectively, we can look to the OODA loop used by fighter pilots. Observe, orient, decide, and act. Pilots use this mental model to make life or death decisions in actual milliseconds, and you need to apply this exact same speed to your daily life to outmaneuver your own hesitation and laziness. You observe the task, orient yourself to it, decide on your first step, and then you act immediately. You have to stop waiting for the perfect plan. Stop waiting until you're in the perfect mood. The real secret to curing brain rot is striking before your mind even has a chance to distract you with some cheaper alternative. You literally have to move faster than your own excuses. Right now, as we're wrapping up this explainer, your brain is probably screaming for you to click away, to go find that next quick hit of dopamine, which is exactly why you need to do the hardest thing possible right after we finish here. Do not click on another piece of content. Just sit in absolute silence. Let your brain recalibrate for a minute. I'm going to leave you with a diagnostic challenge. For the next 7 days, your final task is to pick just one single piece of this DETOX framework. Whether it's the digital fasting, that 25-minute focus block, or just sweeping your own mental stairs. Pick one and ruthlessly apply it to your life for 1 full week. Prove to yourself that you are still the one in control.
LinkedIn founder Reid Hoffman once said, "If you are not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you launched too late." And you know, this applies to your mind just as much as it does to business. Start acting immediately, even if it's completely messy at first. Because if you wait until you feel perfectly ready to change your life, the rot has already won. So are you going to let it?